I'm very depressed about the future of America. I see it actually crumbling or having a real revolution. Because they're not going to wake up. They're not stopping. The neoliberalism, which, first of all, capitalism is failing worldwide right now, except in the places that have strong social democracies and strong unions, right? It's failing in Greece. It's going to happen in Italy, Spain. So, Brexit just happened. There's lots of...
Did you see my story about that?
No, I
didn't.
didn't.
I wrote a good one about... I went to England right before their election. The Guardian brought me over to England, and... I toured the deindustrialized zones of England, the places where Thatcher just took a sledgehammer to their way of life. And these are the places that voted for Brexit in a huge way. And I went around interviewing people about who they were going to vote for and why. And man, it was fascinating. It's very similar to what's been going on in the United States. So we always think of Brexit as a right-wing move, but there were all sorts of people on the left that voted for it. I mean, people that you and I would think of as being on the left. They're very anti-big business, very pro-labor, very pro-union, and voted for the Brexit. I interviewed like a dozen of them, as I traveled around the country. It was really interesting.
And so you would contradict the narrative that it was all racists.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of fear about immigration there, but it's their fear is specifically about like people from Poland and Romania, Eastern Europe, like Estonia and stuff like that.
Right.
There's a lot of that, but there's also just this. I mean, how should I put it? This hatred of global capitalism, and when the IMF comes in and says you better not vote for Brexit, a lot of these people are going to vote for. That's the exact reason why they're going to vote for it. But I also met lots of really good people who voted for it. People who had very good intentions. People who were very worried about the euro, for example. And frankly, Jimmy, between you and me, the euro is bad news. And they're very, very right to be worried about that. Now, Britain has not adopted the euro. They dodged that bullet.
So why is the euro bad news? I know why it's bad news because, well, what do you think?
Well, when a country can't
print their own money,
when they can't control their own currency,
they're
at the whim of the
central
country
bank.
That can control the central bank, which is controlled by France and Germany, basically, right. And the Belgians and stuff like that. And so you have countries like Spain that gave up their own currency, or Italy that gave up their own currency, and they've been absolutely ruined.
Yes.
And there's no way out for them. Well, there is a way out, and it's the same as the Brexit, unfortunately. Now, Britain dodged that bullet, but they could clearly see what was happening to a lot of these other countries, and I think they were, in some ways, I don't want to endorse Brexit because I think it was, on balance, a bad move. But I can understand their fear. What's interesting to me is that the American commentariat are 100% against it. Like, this was the dumbest thing in the world. How could anybody have done it? And you go over there, there were good arguments for it. I mean, the Labor Party, until I don't know when they changed their mind exactly. The Labor Party used to be very anti the European Union. They saw it for what it is. They had a very accurate understanding of what it would become in Europe. Now, and so a lot of the people I was interviewing were former members of the Labor Party, or some of them still members of the Labor Party, who thought that the Labor Party had made a mistake and should go back to its old distrust. I'm sorry, there's no way your audience is interested in this.
About Brexit?
Yeah.
No. Well, I'll make it its own video. It'd be great. No, this is great.
Oh, okay. Well, anyhow, it was. Let me just. You can read the article on the Guardian website. It was fascinating because I met people who call themselves socialists, who voted for it.
Yeah,
I mean,
regular
by the way,
people.
They use that word over there all the time. It's not a dirty word in England. Here, let me show you some of the stuff. So, I went into this socialist or this Labor Party club called the Red Shed. You see this? The
Ha!
red. Yeah, and it's a shed. It's this building from World War II, like a hut from World War II that the local Labour Party got their hands on. This is in a city in the north of England, and they painted it this vivid, shocking scarlet color, and it's right next door to a big shopping mall. And I go in there, and it's basically a pub. And these are some of the sweetest, nicest people you will ever meet. And they call themselves socialists. And, they had all of this labor strike memorabilia on the walls. When they have strikes in England, or when they used to have strikes in England, they issue commemorative plates. Strikes. How I collect commemorative plates. Like I have one from the state of Missouri. I have one for Detroit. I have all these sort of silly things. They have them for strikes, for like industrial actions. The coal miners' strike of 1984. We issued this plate.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I know. Anyhow, it's great fun, and I met really interesting people, fascinating people, people that are in a lot of ways a lot like the Midwesterners I grew up with, but also, very different. They have this sense of solidarity over there that's so different than what we have here in America. Almost every English person I talked to fully expected his or her countrymen to come to their rescue if they ever got into really hard times. That was just that was the unspoken agreement. But we're being screwed here in the North. They got to do something about it. They all just seem to take this for granted. If one part of the country is going down, the other parts of the country have an obligation to come to their rescue. And it took me, because we're so cynical here, and you and me, Jimmy, here in America. We all know that when Detroit goes down, the rest of the country just walks away. It's like, well, see you later, But they have this sense over there that the rest of England has a bounden duty to help them out. And this was it was shocking to me and also very refreshing in a kind of way. I mean, it's something that we just simply do not have in this country, or we maybe had it once, after World War II, but we don't have it anymore.
No, it's we definitely don't have it anymore. Well, listen, I'm looking forward to reading that article. I hope you write it really quickly. And
it came out right before the election.
The one you wrote about Brexit.
It came out right before the election. And by the way, it's not like I didn't try to predict the outcome of the election, but it became clear when I was over there that that Labor was going to do really well. That was obvious as I was going around talking to people.
I'm very encouraged by Jeremy Corbyn, and I think that's why they're starting to smear him in the United States press now. If you've noticed, they're starting to call him an anti-Semite, and so because they're afraid that it might spread, right?
Yeah, well, too late, They missed their chance. But they did a lot of that in England beforehand, and they actually did it. I mean, people were very familiar with the arguments against him, and they finally decided at the end of the day, it's like, well, he used to hang around with terrorists. That's bad, all right, but everything else is worse. What he's promising that Labor came out with a very decent manifesto.
We covered it. It was specific.
Yeah, it was much better than the Better Deal, but it was it was actually really good, and it was very plainly spoken. And Jeremy Corbyn was actually, I watched him on TV a number of times. He was very good. Yeah, but he was very good and persuasive, and he was strongly assisted in his run by the fact that Theresa May, the Tory, who called the special election, didn't show up at their debate. And do you know who advised her? You know who was her campaign advisor?
Well, one of them was Jim Messina. Jim Messina. Yeah.
Yes, Obama's guy was advising the Tory. What the fuck?
Well,
what the fuck?
I don't know if you know, but Jim Messina's job inside the Barack Obama White House was to make sure the public option didn't make it into the healthcare bill.
Oh, really? God! And now that that really worked out well, didn't it?
Yeah, and so right.
If they had done that, I mean, there's a bunch of things like that. If they had done that, had Obama got tough with the banks, had Obama done a bigger bailout, we would have amended the Constitution and given him a third term. I mean,
Yes.
he would still be president today. It's like, nice going, guys. Nice going, Messina.
Yeah.
You know, these guys have the Midas touch in reverse.
In reverse, right? So so they ruin the brand of Democrats in the United States, and then he rushes over to lose an election for the Tories.
Destroys the Tories. I mean, yeah, it's great.